morning. Thank you, Commissioner Kemp, for the kind words as usual, and I'm happy to be here. So we're going to start off with a video, and my colleague here is going to kick us off. Right?
But look at what it can be easy to think it doesn't look like much where you are now. Every day, the HART delivers public transit to count on 15,000 new rounds, 34 routes, 47.
1 second.
Where you are now.
Okay, as Frank gets that set up, Frank's going to work on that. Really want to talk to you about what HART is charged with doing in the community. And it's really about taking you to places that you want to be or have to be. And how we go about working with our partners, the community, FDOT, federal government, to fund all the services that we'd like to provide. So I've been here for a year and a half, as Commissioner Kemp stated. When I got here and I assessed the organization, I noticed a couple of things. We had limited funding, no surprise for I'm sure any of you in the room. We had service on the street that was not reliable, and we didn't have a focus on why we were in business, right? And I'll repeat that. We didn't, when I say we internally, the organization, didn't have a clear focus of why we were in business. What is it that we're here to do outside of just getting in a bus and going to stops? So the conversation really is about right-sizing the organization to match our resources with the demand that we can put on the street. So it's one thing to have a timetable, right, that says you have buses every 15 minutes in one corridor, you have buses every 30 minutes in another corridor, but the buses come whenever they feel like coming. Sometimes it's every 45 minutes, sometimes it's every 3 minutes, who knows? You know, it's up to the wind for you to determine when your bus is going to show up. So one of the things that I addressed immediately was, how do we look at making the system more reliable? In the business, we call that on-time performance, but it's just reliability. So we scaled back our service to ensure that we had the right number of vehicles, the right number of operators to provide the service that we can make reliable. Prior to doing that, we had, as I mentioned, more service on our timetables, but we didn't have enough buses or people to actually deliver that level of service. And that's why the times were all over the place. So we reduced our service. Right now we have approximately 30 routes, of which 20 of them have frequencies of every 60 minutes, 60. And then the other 10 approximately have frequencies of 30 minutes or less, of which 4 have frequencies of around 15 minutes. That is not great service. That's not good service. I would say that's okay service. But what I can say is that service is better than what we had before, because our reliability is a lot better. Before we made the change, our reliability was about 60%. Now we hover in the 80s. And our goal, the goal I have given for the team is that we want to hit 90%, but our end of calendar year is 85. You know, you always have to have a stretch goal for the team so they keep, charging ahead. I would say that's excellent news, because if you go into a bus stop now and you're looking for a vehicle, you have assurance that it's going to come. Is it a great system to know that your bus is only coming once an hour? It's not. But it is better to know that it is coming every hour. And I tell people it's like flying a plane, right? If you know the plane is going to leave at 8 a.m., you plan your trip around catching the 8 a.m. flight because you have to be someplace, let's say, for 10. If you don't know that the plane is going to show up at 8 a.m., then you can't make your plans. It's the same thing with transit. If you know you have to be at work at a certain time, you'll schedule your trip around the timetable, and it's our job to make sure you get there on time. Even though we have limited funding sources, which we realize is a challenge, we have focused on partnerships. So I'll say number 2, what I did when I came here a year and a half ago is walk around the organization like anyone would do in a new place. And I realized that we have a heavy maintenance facility that is not operating at a state of good repairs. is there has been, I would say, no investment in the facility since it's open. When it rains outside, it rains inside. It's not a safe working environment, and it's not even an attractive working environment, especially in a market where we're trying to find employees. It's very difficult to keep the morale up and build a strong culture if you're going into a place that just walking up to it is kind of demoralizing. So I worked with partners. Some of you in the room have heard me do my talk about the heavy maintenance facility. And we were fortunate to raise $75 million to build a new heavy maintenance facility. So yeah, you can clap. That's really good. And that happened because, again, the partnerships. I went to FDOT and talked to them about how horrible the facility was, talked to the TPO, talked to Hillsborough County, and Commissioner Kemp's colleagues, presented to them, talked to the city, and those entities all agreed to pitch in so that we could come up with $75 million toward a $100 million project. The good news is we are moving forward, even though we don't have the $25 million that's remaining. But the $75 million is enough for us to start the project, and the team internally is more energized as they realize that it's not just lip service, that we're gonna make something happen, that we found the dollars. But what's important here are a couple of things. One is partnerships. We talk about sustainable funding sources. Partnerships can be sustainable. And if we can work with the partners to get additional funding for specific projects, we can add that into our budget and we can move those investments forward. Second of all is having strong partnerships also helps us secure additional dollars. So the $25 million that's remaining, we're gonna go after federal grant dollars. In the federal grant application, you have to show that you have local match, you get letters of support. These partnerships help us to gain additional dollars as well. So that's what we're actually doing right now. When I leave this meeting, I have to run back to the office and sign a document and have it notarized because we're applying for a grant for the additional $25 million. So that's the second big project that I felt that our second priority when I got here a year and a half ago, that I realized that we really needed to push forward. The last thing I would say as the third priority under my leadership thus far has been being transparent with our dollars and our budget. We're in our budget process right now. Before I got here, we only budgeted in an annual rotation. So we only had a budget for the upcoming year, and that was it. This is the first time we put together a 5-year capital plan. And the beauty of that is not only externally, but internally, the team understands what our priorities are and where we're going over a 5-year horizon. And if those of you in business, you know, every year, 1 year drops off, another year gets added, right? So it's a rolling 5 years. We kicked off our internal budget process meetings in the organization on Wednesday. Am I right, Frank? On Wednesday, I've been doing this talk, the budget talk, for a while. So we have lots of shifts, as you can imagine, in the transit agency. So our first budget meeting was at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Our second one was 7 a.m. on Thursday. And we had a 7:30 p.m. one. So we've been doing this talk all hours of the day for the last 2 days. But the beauty of that is that no matter where you work in the organization, you got an opportunity to learn about our budget process. You got an opportunity to understand, sorry about this. You got an opportunity to understand how, as they say, the sausage is made, right? And everybody should see themselves in our budget. Everybody in the organization, if you're a mechanic, a bus driver, a bus washer, an accountant, you should see yourself in the budget, and that's what we were able to do. So people can say, well, where is it that we wanted new chairs in the break room? Where is that in the budget? Renovations to this facility. Where is such and such in the budget? We need new fear boxes. Where is that in the budget? Put a sticker on the board and tell us what you need so we can come back, because it's a process. We don't sign off. The board doesn't vote on the budget until September. So we have a process for you to put your input. Then we'll go out to the community and do the same thing. So why that's important to me, I do believe in order for you to build a culture of ownership in an organization, people have to see themselves in it, know that they really have a voice, it's not just lip service, and that they're working collectively with management and their colleagues to make change. We have to change the culture of HART, we have to change the vision of HART, we have to change the brand of HART. I don't know if any of you in the room have a special affinity toward Morgan or 411 pain, but they will no longer to be on our buses in a couple of months. I think they're great organizations, they do whatever they have to do to help people, but we do not need our brand to be wrapped in advertising. So that's something else that we're working on, creating our own brand, our own image, so the community sees who we are. So with that, let's listen to how we see ourselves. Frank,